Mike Lunney,
Yes, sir.
how are you? How are you, man?
I'm doing great. If I was
Dude,
doing as we are, kill him.
Well, be careful what you wish for. Here we are. I realize that people may listen to this at all different times, but as we record, we're pretty squarely still in the middle of our season of evaluation and adjudication. How's your world going?
My world, it's going great, man. Just finished 4 days of judging and doing some clinic work, and I've got a couple more coming up, and then I've got that drought that I love. That's like June and July. That there's nothing but baseball and grandsons.
That's awesome. Well, look here, we got a guest.
We do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How are you this morning, sir?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Good. This is, I don't know if you prefer Phil or Phillip. You tell me.
Phil is fun.
Sure. This is Phillip Clements, and I'm excited because we get to talk about, we've talked about some of the organizations that help music educators, and I think this morning is going to be another one of those fantastic times. So I don't like to screw things up, sir. Tell us your title and organization so that we get it right the first time.
Sure. Well, I'm recently come on board as the Executive Director-Designate for Texas Bandmasters Association. And what that means is that I'll take over as Executive Director after this year's convention. Our board of directors was so kind as to give me a year overlap with Mike Brashear, the current executive director. He's been there for 18 years in that capacity. So we get to work together for a year and then learn as much as I can at that time and then take over again after the convention this summer. So excited to talk about TBA and band and wherever everything takes us.
Cool. Hey, so let me you answered my first question. What does designate mean? But Mike, talk to us for a second as we get ready for this conversation and from your standpoint. Now, I realize Mr. Clements was a longtime educator as well, so he has the same experience. But talk to us about TBA and what that meant. Specifically, I realize that we're talking band specific today. But what did TBA mean as an educator in the state of Texas for you?
Well, for me, it was always kind of a recharge moment, excuse me, and an educational moment, and a lot of fun to do. I think I'm pretty sure I've been to every TBA convention since 1986, something like that. And my band dad here in Abilene, Mr. Bill Woods, who's passed away in 94, he went to the very first TBA convention, which I thought was pretty amazing because I've got some of his old souvenirs from that, some coasters and stuff, and an ashtray. They gave the band directors ashtrays, Phil. It was that time.
Good time, Mike.
You got an ashtray for coming to TBA, a nice glass one, just like the Holiday Inn. But no, TBA has always been an exciting moment. I think it's a great way to network. And back in the, past days, which I really love what we're doing now, past days, you went and you picked out your contest music. You'd file through at Southern Music or wherever, and you'd pick out what the Madison Scouts play for a closer. Yeah, let's do a drum solo, and you got all your stuff, and it was exciting to kind of get everything lined up. And now we kind of start that in TBA, actually, figuring out what we're going to do for a show and things of that nature. And it was just kind of a good deal. I think another thing that was really awesome about it was, unlike TBA for most of us, TBA was where you brought your family. And so your family could go along, and my son would participate, and he thought it was trick or treat, Phil. He'd just go around with his bag to each deal and whatever they'd give him. And then after when he turned about 6 or 7, I guess, we started taking him to the SeaWorld camp. They had a day camp at SeaWorld. So I'd drive him out to SeaWorld, and they'd feed the whales and do all their educational stuff out there. And then I'd run back out to pick him up. And so it was really awesome, the fact that my son has really good memories of TBA. And he's now, 33 years old, has 3 kids of his own. So I think it's a really awesome event that, because of scheduling, has kind of taken a hit recently. It's not because of the quality of the TBA convention at all. It's just the scheduling of such, and Phil's going to have some insight for us on that.
Awesome. So I shift it back to Phil and I say, does that kind of line up with your historical Would you agree with that historically? And how does that line up with what you see about TBA now? You tell us, is that what you want band directors to? Yeah, that's probably too harsh of a way to ask it, but your perspective as an attendee, I assume you attended before you started being part of the leadership there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been going to TBA since I was a young band director. And at that time, whoever you were teaching with basically said, get in the car, we're going to TBA. And that's how the young teachers found out about it. It was something that was just tradition. The first TBA was in 1948. I was at Alamo Heights High School in San Antonio.
Yep,
And
that's right.
believe it or not, they used to have, for about 3 or 4 years, they had a marching band outside made up of the directors. Well, they figured out pretty quick it was hot in San Antonio, and so that went away pretty quickly. Now we have an indoor field, and we bring in drum corps and the best marching bands in the country. Everybody sits at the air conditioning and watches that, which proves we've gotten smarter as the band directors over the years. But Mike hit on a couple of important points. One, TBA has always been and continues to be about family. It's the one time that you can bring your family to a convention, and there's things that are specifically for them, for the spouses and significant others, and for kids. Everything from our barbecue to planned activities to all the stuff in San Antonio that's just around there that you can do. And my family did the same thing Mike was talking about. We took the kids and we kind of extended a day or two and made it into the last family vacation before marching band started. And we're encouraging everybody to do that again. We finally are a week earlier this year, and we're lined up with DCI. When school changed the start date, our contracts were set for 5 years with hotels and convention centers. So it's taken a little bit to get us on that earlier week. So it's going to allow high school band directors in particular to come back to TBA this year. We want to encourage them to do so and bring their families. It's the largest summer convention of its kind in the country and probably in the world for band directors. If you go to other states and look at their, whatever BA associations, it's very different than what we do. And since we're what we call co-located with the choir version and the orchestra version, it ends up being over 10,000 people at the convention with a shared exhibit hall. So we're super excited about the early date. We're excited about the younger teachers getting to know more about TBA, and the older teachers need to take it upon themselves to say, let's get in the car, let's go, this is important. We may not be using the off-the-shelf method that Mike and I remember from, hey, let's pick out the opener, let's pick out the drum solo, let's pick out the closer. But those relationships with exhibitors that happen at TBA are just as important as TBA. And in many cases, they're already planning the year after, or talking about, we need a designer to come in or a clinician to come in. And so it's taken on a little bit different role with publishing and all of that, but equally as important. And for them to come and patronize the exhibit hall and just see the unbelievable lineup of clinicians that we have at this convention. So,
Phil, I'm going to ask you real quick. Do you have those dates handy? You can, so people can start planning.
Yeah, it's July 16 through 18, Thursday through Saturday. The drum corps show is on Saturday, so that kind of bookends. And on the front end, we start with registration or check-in, and then the barbecue is on Wednesday at the beginning. Wednesday evening, the convention, Thursday all day, Friday all day, and then half a day Saturday concludes with our business luncheon, and then everybody can go to the drum corps show. We do have discounted rates. If you come to TBA, you get a discounted rate with DCI to get your tickets and for you and your students. So July 16th through 18th. So Mike's going to add that to his list along with grandchildren. And what was the other thing, Mike, that you said during the summer?
Oh, baseball and grandchildren.
Baseball, grandchildren, TBA. That's the trifecta.
I'm the grandpa that bought a professional line pitching machine for my grandsons, and we've already injured 2 grandsons, so we're.
I want to see this video of you hitting.
Yeah. You know me, Phil. I'm quite the athlete.
So, can you? I've had this question before. I know that we call it Texas Bandmasters Association. Phil, what is your thought about like the college age people that are in music education right now? Benefits for them with this particular convention?
Yeah, we have a great price for college students. It's only $50, and we encourage college students to be there, especially during their junior and senior year, to start what Mike talked about, networking, starting to learn who the important people in our profession are. And I taught at the university level for 34 years of my career, and we always encouraged our students to come and be part of TBA. TBA has kind of become a tradition for college students, especially if they went through the all-state process, and they scatter, across the country for the summer. But it's a good way to kind of get back in the right mindset, meet people you wouldn't meet really if you're engaged in the marching band activity. We have the largest complement of marching clinics. So those that are going to go back to the university and be a marching tech with an area high school, it's a great way to kind of reinvest in that, learn some things to take to those jobs. But yeah, $50, and they can. We know college students, they can be resourceful in how they figure out the rest of the accommodations and all of those things. So, but we're excited to have college students. The other thing we have is for first-year teachers, and not everybody is probably aware of this, but those graduating, or if they're new to Texas, we have the Academy for New Teachers, which is a wonderful one-day thing on Thursday. And for $150, you can come to the Academy and the convention. You get your convention dues and membership paid for. And it's everybody from the head of UIL and TMEA, information on professionalism, even information on retirement, how to start out right, and saving and doing all those things. It's a crash course for everybody's reminder. Some things they probably heard in college, but probably forgot since then. So they start the year right, knowing, what are some things to be careful of in their new jobs and in this new profession, and what are the things that they should value. So we've been really successful with that academy. And this year we've opened it up to our colleagues in the choir area and the orchestra area for their first year teachers as well, because teaching music is teaching music and UIL is UIL. And so we're excited to have them join us as well. And that's on that Thursday. And if you go to register for that, it's on there as a separate registration called the Academy for New Teachers.
And I tell you what, every person I've talked to that's participated in that has found it to be really beneficial. So people out there, it's that academy alone is worth the price of admission, and then everything else is even better, but it's worth going to. If you're a first year teacher, I highly recommend it.
So Phil, one of the things that Mike and I preach, we pound the pulpit every chance we get, is mentorship, and the fact that that our society in general, and teaching has not been excluded from it. We've kind of evolved from hey, somebody come show me how to do this, to I don't want somebody to know. I'm just going to try and figure this thing out, and I don't want anybody to see how bad things are. And that's probably a negative way to paint that. But Mike and I are both pretty strong advocates that if you don't find somebody that you can trust, that can speak into your life and or teaching, then you just don't get better. And we become kind of an anonymous online electronic age. I get it. Technology's all great. But I think TBA, and Mike kind of touched on this a minute, I've heard you say it. I've been an exhibitor. I've not actually ever taught. But this is so awesome to sit in the cafe or to find a place inside the convention center to sit down and say, all right, this year I want to try and do some of this stuff. What do you think? And find people that can speak into you and share and further your ability to teach. I don't know if you could speak to that or agree with it, or you're welcome to argue with me. I don't mind saying.
Well, I agree. And I think we've seen kind of in our area a swing back towards more mentorship and people really having consultants. And Mike, I know you're out all the time helping people And I think young teachers are go one of two ways. They're either defensive and they don't want anybody to see what they're doing yet until they figure it out. And the other ones are like, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I need help. And they're smart enough to do that. But I mean, we all have mentors. I still have mentors to this day that I call about different things. And I'm sure you guys do too. But I think that's an important part. What we do is not something you can learn. It's an apprenticeship profession. You have to learn from somebody how to do this. You can read a book, but you have to sit down and have those conversations, and you have to have somebody, you have to be willing to accept honest critique and know that honest critique is the only way you're going to get better. And the reason you're wanting to get better is for you, but for your students as well. So we've actually instituted something new this year in the exhibit hall, and you may be interested in this as an exhibitor. We're calling the networking lounge. And you're not going to be able to miss it because we're going to have giant 6-foot letters that say music. And actually, the I is going to be missing. We're going to make that a selfie opportunity and put a content together. You can go and you can stand where the I is. You become wait for an I at music. And then, but that'll be the entrance to our networking lounge. But there's lots of stuff that's going to happen there. There's going to be guest appearances by some of our clinicians. There's going to be time for you to go in and just sit down one-on-one with somebody and ask questions. And if you don't have a mentor, to go and kind of seek that out a little bit. It's going to be very close to the cafe. And so we have tables in there. People can bring their food or their drinks over from the cafe and sit and visit and listen to someone talk for a little bit. I remember as a young teacher going to Midwest in Chicago and being in the Hilton and listening to Fred Fennell talk and not saying a word, but just listening. And I learned so much hearing him, and then Alfred Reed would walk by and they would talk about something. But just to kind of be around some of those great teachers. And we're hoping that networking lounge creates an opportunity for people to meet each other and to meet, younger teachers or teachers that are 5 years experience, meeting teachers that are 5 years experiencing on, hey, how are you handling this? And learn from each other, but kind of a centralized place for all of those things to happen. So we encourage everybody to keep watching their email, watching social media we're going to kind of release the things one at a time that are exciting with this new networking lounge. And anybody that's a young teacher especially will find it very, very beneficial.
Really cool. Really cool.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I like it. I think it's going to be really awesome that we're aligned back with DCI. I think that's going to give a little more impact to what's happening. So I don't know if that just happened by accident, or does DCI try to help with that, or are they pretty much set in stone and it's just how we schedule our end of it?
It's a little bit of both. We've had some great meetings already with the leadership at DCI. Their new CEO, and we met at Midwest and started talking long term about keeping this coordinated, as long as possible. They see the benefits for DCI. We see the benefits for TBA. And with that, everybody benefits. Yeah. So we're trying to keep and working. There's a lot of moving parts when you're talking about scheduling the Alamo Dome and scheduling the city of San Antonio. But having those conversations now, we are aligned for the next couple of years on our dates. We're wanting to stay aligned, as far out as we possibly can. So that's one of the things that I worked on this fall was that project, and starting to look forward to see if we could get that to happen. Mike, you and I have drum corps experience. In fact, that's kind of where we met. So
Yeah, that's where we met.
I think it's important for everybody to be able to make that a one-stop shop when they come to San Antonio and finish the convention and go over and see the best drum corps in the world, and then go back ready to teach.
Very cool. Very cool. Glad to hear that's going that way. And for our old drum corps history, the Skyriders will perform in San Antonio this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that'll be kind of fun to.
Exciting. They're making a comeback.
Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah.
I think it's going to make it.
Yeah.
What are some things like for the future? Because now that you've been given this role, I'm sure the first thing people have said to you is like, well, what are we going to do different?
Yeah, what's next?
Yeah,
I was fortunate enough. I was on the board of directors for 8 years, and so going into this, I knew a lot of the history, and I knew a lot of what TBA was about from that perspective, as well as being an attendee. And I think one of the things we want to do is honor the traditions of TBA, like, TBA is for families. Um, but we also have to continue to change. We've got to continue to evolve because the profession we're in is always evolving. So things like that, partnerships with DCI, bringing in the best ensembles that we can in the summer to be able to perform. Some of the other things I think also that people may not be aware of that we already do. Our student summit we retooled last summer. We have a partnership with Bands of America and UDB and SASE, and we have a phenomenal curriculum, a one-day thing on Saturdays for people to bring their students, their leaders, and students interested in leadership, and work with some of the top people in the country. To kind of prepare them to go back into camp as well. And another thing we have is our Booster Academy. For $100, a program can send as many band boosters as they want to, and learn from David Vandewalker, who's a unbelievable authority in that. And it's a one-day thing on Saturday as well. So we're going to continue to examine what are some things like that we continue to provide extra for people to make it. Not just I'm going to go to TBA, but my students are going to be able to come. My student teacher is going to be able to come and go to the academy, and bring my boosters as well, and go see the DCI show. I think the more opportunities we can create for people around TBA, that's going to be good for everybody. Because the things that I'm trying to do in this, and I think teaching comes down to this as well, is that if we can provide information and inspiration, then we've done our job. We want people to walk away from TBA going, man, that clinic was unbelievable, and to have gone to something that reminds them why they want to be a teacher, why it's important to be involved in music, and why they love music.
And I tell you, one thing you mentioned was the booster idea. And I tell you what, for the folks who might be thinking of getting their boosters involved, it just seems like when I go out in clinic, a lot of the internal problems, drama, seem to happen because band directors don't know quite how to handle the band parent organization. And that's a science unto itself. So, man, what a fantastic resource by TBA you can invite your band parent president and vice president and treasurer and secretary and whoever, like you said, whoever wants to go down there. And those band parents, they love to travel, and some of them actually love to party a little bit too. So,
yeah, I've heard that.
I've heard of such.
You get band parents out in the wild, and you never know what's going to happen.
I tell you, Phil, I used to take my band to Disney World, and then a group of band parents figured out that while their kids are at Disney World, they all got together and they went to Vegas. So there's a group of 20 wily band parents that would just take flights to Vegas for those 4 or 5 days. And since I was babysitting their children, they would just all go and have a good time in Vegas. So I have plausible deniability on anything that might have occurred on some of those trips, including the Disney trip. But yeah, those boosters are really, they're amazing people if you give them some guidance and communicate with them. And so, this is how we want to do this. This is my vision for the band program. But I tell you what, that would be a great education, because I think that's the most common question from band parents when you ask them to fill an office or a role. They're like, what do I do?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, what am I going to be doing? So I think that's great. So, man, what a great list of things, because TBA is a great experience. We want to keep that going. And from what I understand, I don't know this for a fact, but TBA was like the predecessor to TMEA. Is that correct?
Well, TBA has been around in terms of the clinics, doing more. It kind of evolved in the marching area, and it was people didn't know how to do marching band. The 40s, people were coming back from just after the war, and nobody understood how to do that. So that's where they were learning. And then that evolved as drum corps influence started to come in. Everybody went to TBA to figure out how to teach that style.
Yeah.
So I think TMEA has been around a long time. They celebrated 100 years back in 2020, 2021. But as far as helping band directors with the practicality of things, I think TBA has all been doing that for a long time. And that's one of the missions. We want somebody to come and go, well, that was what a really, really practical clinic. Now I can walk out of there and I know how to teach beginner flutes better. But at the same time, we want them to be inspired to go teach beginner flute. So you can have information and not be inspired, or you can have inspiration and have no information. And either one of those works. And you've seen that in young teachers, and so have I.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be a package deal.
Yeah.
And Mike, I have a question. Well, let me ask you this:
Okay.
the boosters. So when all their kids graduated, did they continue to go to Vegas each time?
Some did. I had one that was actually ran my concession stands for 10 years after their kid graduated.
That's
Because that was their social grouping. Yeah, that was their people. And not all of them do that. Some of them, some once their kid graduates, I've never seen them again. It's like they did their time in the prison, to make it out. And then others just kind of took hold of it. You're right. Some of them still did. For all I know, they might still be going for, I don't know, they went to New York, I think, this week.
But I'm going to jump on that. But I was trying to figure out how to voice this. I hear you, Phil, talk about so many opportunities for so many different aspects of a program. And what's so cool is Mike and I talk a lot about culture. The culture kind of defines, you might have a flash in the pan year, but if you don't have culture, it's really hard to sustain.
Yeah.
But as Mike said, sometimes so many, you have it by nature, it's a turnover group of people, unless they stick around for an extra 10 years. But what an opportunity for the band boosters, for the students in DCI show, and all of the aspects that you have going on this summer, July 16th, for everybody to kind of go, okay, we all went to this, we're all on the same page, we're all pushing together, and just kind of a great launch pad for creating a great culture season, because we're all pulled in the same direction and we all have the ability to go, you didn't do that without me. We were all there together. If that makes sense. We did our part. We learned our part. You guys saw your part. Let's go.
And I tell you what, there's another thing that is part of that whole TBA webpage that most people don't know exist, but I want to see advertised more. It's the archives.
Yeah.
It's that you can, if you want to know how to teach beginner flute or to teach intermediate flute, second year flute, there's an amazing library. It's like the Library of Congress on there. It's like every handout that's ever been given for every clinic. Now, granted, you don't get the person talking, you get the handout, but there's just a ton of information. And Phil, I don't think you have to be able to log in or anything. You can just go to the webpage.
It's available to everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys out there and ladies out there that are teaching and have a curiosity about how to do something, dig into that, because that's absolutely free and provided by TBA.
Yeah, it has our not only the clinic handouts, but has all the magazines, the Bandmasters Review that comes out multiple times a year. All of the articles from that are on there as well. And it's fun. On Friday, one of our social posts was about the archives. Mike is
really good.
Said, yeah, did you know that the TBA has X? So we your wish is our command. We've advertised it even more, but we're also going
to power Mike Lunney has. It comes out on social media.
Yeah, but no, and I think people think you have to be a member, and you don't. We want that to be available for everybody, and we're going to start to expand that as well. One of the things I've been able to do this year is take over the magazine and trying to make those things really timely for the time of year. Our edition that's coming out in April is going to have a lot of things that are about end of year and what you can do over the summer to make your band program better. And from some of the most well-known people in our profession. So, you can check those out right after the magazine comes out. And if you're a member of TBA, you also get an old school printed copy of a magazine that actually comes to your mailbox, and you
boomers like the old school one.
Yeah, so we've got everybody. But thanks for bringing that up, Mike. Because I think a lot of people think you have to be, or go to TBA every year or be a member. But we also want that for our out-of-state folks.
Yeah,
if they can see those resources, we'll start to see more and more people come from out of state. And that's one of the things that I would like to see us expand is, we want TBA would always be about Texas, but we want our neighbors to be able to come in and benefit from it as well, because most states don't have anything of this size and scope for sure in the summer to be able to be a part of.
Yeah, and Phil, I've tried to be your ambassador with the marching band, director's band, because we did the Macy's parade and then did the Tournament of Roses parade.
Yeah.
But that's come up in a lot of discussions where you sit around and, most of the greatest clinics happen at the bar at the hotel, so we're after rehearsal, we're sitting around, they ask questions and I'll show them the link and say, here's the URL for this. Look at this, and they're like, what? And they're amazed because they're from Rhode Island, New Jersey, California, Japan, Costa Rica, Panama, so it's a great resource. So we're trying to spread the word for you, Phil.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
The far reaches of the globe.
That's right.
Ambassador of TBA.
Let me
My official title, Phil. I need another title. Yeah.
backtrack real quick. Phil, real quickly, as I sit and listen to you gentlemen talk, what if I am a new teacher in the state? What if I'm a new teacher just out of school? I guess, can we mention how you actually get involved, or how do you become a member of the Texas Bandmasters Association? Is it a process? Is it just go to the website? What do we do?
It's very, very simple. You go to the website on the main texasbandmasters.org, and the very first page, you're going to see the register button, and it'll take you to the registration page, and then it shows with your active member or a retired member or the academy. And somebody coming from out of state, we always encourage them to go through the academy, even if they've taught for a couple of years, because it gets them into the Texas lingo of what's TBA responsible for, what's UIL responsible for, and helping them kind of orient that way. But yeah, it's a very, very simple process. Our membership and convention fees are all tied together. And one of the things that TBA does that most people may not realize is part of your membership. So if you register now as an active member, it's $200 for the convention. That includes 2 meals. And if you've looked at the price of meals lately, that's a pretty good bargain, because you get the barbecue and you get the business luncheon.
Yeah.
And you can go down on the Riverwalk and you can spend, $30 to $40 a meal. So by the time you just take those out of it, you're not paying very much to be a member of TMEA at all. And that's something we always want people to remember. That's part of what we try to do to be different. And if you've never been to that barbecue, it is great. It's down in the grotto underneath by the river, and lots of stuff for the kids, and free boat rides on the river. So it's a lot of fun, a great way to kick off TBA. But yeah, registration, super simple. We try to make it very, very easy for everybody.
And Phil, do you recall what the price is for college students? Because
College, it's $50.
Yeah. So it's a great deal for college kids and old retired people like me.
If you want to bring your family, our spouse, significant other, if they go to the family luncheon, it's $65. If not, it's $40, and $40 for any guest too that you want to bring, and that includes the barbecue as well, and the boat rides and all of that stuff. Plus a lot of really interesting events they put on for the families.
Cool. Phil, is there anything we haven't hit on in the last 45 minutes or so that you want to make sure that people hear about TBA moving forward, this year's convention in particular, or just general thing?
I would just mention about this summer, we've got great clinicians. You're going to start to see that lineup come out on social media over the next couple of weeks. Some of the best marching clinics that you're going to find anywhere. Our featured composer this year is Randall Standridge. I know a lot of people who plays Randall's music, and he's very excited about being that. Dr. Stephen Peterson is our featured clinician, who taught for several years at Stephen F. Austin, but most recently retired from the University of Illinois. He's sought after all over the country, and a great teacher and conductor. So he's going to be there. But you're going to be really impressed when you see the list of superstars that we have lined up in the middle school area and in the high school area. And that's one other thing I'll mention. Sometimes, because we have marching band clinics, their middle school starts saying, well, maybe it's not for us. And that can be further from the truth. We really want to make sure we always have great pedagogical clinics for teaching beginners, teaching middle school, teaching non-varsity, teaching high school. We try to examine it from every side so that there's something for everyone. We have mariachi clinics. We have clinics for smaller schools. So if you're the only person at your school, you can come and learn from the people who are doing that as well as anybody. Military marching band. We want there to be everything that's representative of the great state of Texas band, because you go from one side of the state to the other and it's very, very different. And I think that's one of the things that makes us special. So we just love to see everybody there. And well, I can't thank you guys enough for having me on. I've enjoyed listening to Mike more on the podcast than ever before.
Better than those boring bus trips, right?
That's right.
So, hey, thanks for being here, Phil, man. We appreciate you. It's good to see you always.
Well, my
Absolutely
pleasure.
appreciate you. Yes, sir. And listen, if there's anything that Ask Mike could do as we move forward towards the convention, you let us know. And we're always glad to help and join forces. So
Just keep reminding your listeners to come and be with us at TBA, and they won't regret it. It's be a marvelous 2026.
awesome. Well, best of luck. Enjoy as that Designate label comes off. I hope it's just truly a lot of fun and you find it very rewarding. Mike, thanks for introducing me to Phil Clements, and I hope both of you have a fantastic day. Appreciate you.